This is My Quebec City, your stories. There is a long and proud Irish history here, and be it for St. Patrick's Day or any time, there's a lot with which to give it a lash, as they say. In this episode, we are talking to one of the great authorities on the subject. His name is Joe. So Joe, what's your story?
Hi, I'm Joe Lonergan. I was born at Jeffrey Hale Hospital when it was on what we used to call Saint Cyril. Now it's Boulevard René-Lévesque. Both my parents were Irish Canadians. My grandparents were Irish Canadians. My great-grandparents emigrated from Ireland.
And in fact, the Irish were some of the very first Anglo immigrants to come here.
Well, of course, the English were here first, and the Scots with the conquest. I guess there were some Irish soldiers among them, but the Irish really started a heavier trickle after 1800, after the big rebellion in Ireland in 1798. But it really became considerable with the end of the Napoleonic Wars and the cholera epidemic. There were more immigrants arriving from Ireland in Quebec City than the actual population of the city that year, I believe. Although they were stopping in Rosehill, some of them dying, some of them continuing on to points west. Then there was a virtual flood of Irish immigration in the 1840s, from 1845 to 1851. The end game was that between 1831 and 1881, the Irish constituted about 20% of the population steadily for those 50 years, so they're bound to have left an imprint on the city.
What is still around today from that time period?
That's pretty hard to find. You can find the facade of the old St. Patrick's Church that was built in 1832. There's houses where old Irish guys used to live, but who would know? I noticed there's a sign on St. John Street around the molding on top of the house, the name Leonard, and he was a very successful Irish businessman in Quebec City. At the Dufferin Terrace, near the Chateau Frontenac, in the ironwork, I see work of Phil Whitty, an Irish guy from Wexford. I see the shamrocks in his ironwork. You see it here and there in the old courthouse. There's different coats of arms, and one of them is the harp and shamrocks in the Éireann go Bragh of Ireland. I noticed the firehouse down on Champlain Street. If you look up at it, number 6, around the number 6 in the concrete, you see all kinds of shamrocks again, because it used to be an Irish fire station. They used to call it Fagabala, which is the Irish expression for clear the way, because when the doors open, the horses would tear out with the fire equipment. If you know what to look for, you can find traces of them. And of course, you see current Irish structures like the new St. Patrick's Church on de Salaberry and St. Patrick's Cemetery out in Sillery. And when I think of it, down on Champlain Street, there's the Wexford Inn. I see another old name and fading into the brick, Miles Howe, who used to live down there.
Talk about your role at Irish Heritage Quebec and what the organization does not only as an archive, but a modern-day ambassador of Irish culture and heritage in Quebec City.
Well, I'm one of a board of 9, but I was the president for 12 years. When Mariana O'Gallagher, our founder, passed away in 2010, I had replaced her a few months earlier as she was ailing. We put on 10 events a year from September through June. We have speakers come in and they usually have some kind of an Irish angle. Apart from that, we have an office, and in the office we have all kinds of archives, photographs and documents and tons of books relating to Ireland, and some of them that belong to Irish people living here in the 1800s. Some of them are actually in Irish. We coordinate with other community organizations in Quebec City. Like over the years, we worked with St. Bridget's Guild when they'd be having their sales. Me and John O'Connor would provide kind of security. We would give talks to other societies if they ask, either in English or in French. Give cemetery tours sometimes, tours in the city to groups or individuals who ask for them.
Our St. Patrick's Day parade is so fun, but it also has a backstory of revival.
St. Patrick's Parade in Quebec City was restored by a fellow by the name of Peter Farrell in 2010. We've been participant in the parade ever since. Previous to that, there had been big parades right up to 1926, and then it sort of petered out, although the St. Patrick's Hibernian Cadet Corps might send out their band marching through the streets, but it was not a big affair as it had been in 1926. But as of 2010, Peter Farrell did a fine job of bringing it back.
What are your top recommendations for celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Quebec City?
I would say check to see if there's an Irish Heritage Quebec evening coming up and go to that if you can. Take in the parade.